Hope you're enjoying all these full frontals in front of the fireplace. This was months of my life, so get used to seeing it. No, but seriously, somebody applaud or something. Today we're doing my 10 before the end. I'm actually so excited for this video. Obviously, we'll read a Christmas book here or there or whatever, but these are the 10 books that I really want to prioritize for the month of December. We'll probably do some reading vlogs together. We're gonna start with the books that I physically have on hand, and then we'll talk about the ones that I need to go and buy with you. You wanna go on a date? 10 before the end. What that means is the 10 books that you want to read before the end of the year. Obviously. I hope you have yours picked. If not, hopefully you can gain some recs from this. I want to start with Magic Hour by Kristen Hanna. This will be my first Kristen Hanna book. It is so interesting seeming to me, and I thought it would be like an easy introduction to Kristen Hanna's writing. In a national forest, a little girl emerges and nobody can identify her, and it's just trying to figure out like where she came from, why is she here, you know. I don't care. Most of these are gonna be fantasy books. I love a cutesy book, but I'm more of a cutesy, like, I'm gonna watch Hallmark trash. That's what I like. Next on the list, I want to get to Alchemize. She's naked in preparation. Those sleeves really get in my way. I want to read Alchemize. It is about necromancers. I'm pretty sure it was Manacled or similar to Manacled, same author, something like that. Not really sure. I didn't read Manacled. Necromancy. She holds the key, the main character, she holds the key to some plan and she does not remember anything. So we've got to coax that out of her. I'm very excited. Next up, I'm so excited. I want to finally finish the Plated Prisoner series. I have 3 books left in this series, and since I started my YouTube channel a couple months into that, I've been saying that I want to finish these books. It was just a really heavy first 3 books, and it got to a point in the last book that I read where I was like, Jesus Christ, I need a break. Like, that was a lot. I feel a lot right now. I was like, I just need to take some time away, separate myself, and then come back. And I'm finally ready to do that. So I call that a win. So that's 3 books right there. That's 3 books right there that I, just from that series alone, and then I will have completed the Plated Prisoner series. My next book, this author also wrote The Atlas 6, which I did not enjoy. However, the premise of this book, it is like a brothers against sisters conflict. It's like very reminiscent of the Capulets versus the Montagues or whatever. It has some really cool artwork in the front. Can you see that? Oh my God, these fucking sleeves. So cool. Do we have the gentleman in the back? Yeah, see, I like think that the family beef will be very interesting. The Atlas 6 wasn't my favorite. I don't know. It just was not what I was expecting, I guess, and I just didn't really enjoy it. However, not gonna let that stop me from getting into this because it's a very like cool premise. Oh, it's also a modern day Manhattan. Okay, that's very interesting. That was my last physical book. So, okay. I'm so excited to read Good Spirits. He's the ghost of Christmas past and she's not exactly Scrooge. Okay, so she's being haunted by him. So, I don't know, it genuinely, the cover is so fucking cute. I was like, yeah, so I want to read that, obviously. I also want to read Never Keep. I have almost like physically bought this book a couple times now. Every time I go to buy it, I get like stopped because I'm like, why is this fucking $30? But like, I keep coming back to it, so I'm gonna have to pick it up. Like, I want to make it a priority. It's Christmas. I can spend $30 on myself, especially if it leads me to a series that I love. I'm gonna read you the description. So, dragons are lost. Elements are at war. Enlisting isn't optional, and I'm falling for a man who wants me dead. I'm a wielder of hearts and a summoner of corruption, heir to nothing and born to a fool, but I'm also one of only 2 fae in the divided lands of Hellions who might as well be starting to see through the lies we've swallowed for so long. Gothic setting, they're having to enlist, they have to go to war, all these lies are being exposed. There's other fantasy creatures there, like in the description it's talking about werewolves. One of only 2 fae, kind of crazy. I don't believe that. I bet one of the twists will be, there's an island of fae out here, because that just seems crazy. I am so drawn to this book, And every time I go into Barnes & Nobles, I pick it up with my greedy little beefy hands. I look at it and I'm like, wow, I want to read this. And then I go, I shouldn't spend $32, and I put it down. But yeah, that happens every single time I go into Barnes & Nobles. So the next time I go into Barnes & Nobles, we're gonna go get it, okay? You're gonna hold me accountable. We're gonna pick it up. I'm gonna read it. And I'm gonna love it. And if I don't, I'll be a little upset that I was drawn to it 52 billion times. Last but not least, on my 10 before the end, we have 2 more books. So we have Anathema, which I have talked about multiple times. Anathema, it is the creatures beyond the woods. Like, I need to read this. I love Kira Lake. I loved Nocticadia. I loved that book. Homegirl can set a scene. Homegirl can, you know, create such a visual picture in your head. Genuinely so talented. I can't wait to read this. I've just been a little put off of series. I've read mostly fantasy books this year, and most of them are the first in a series, and I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed by the fact that most of these series aren't complete, and or I'm having to wait a year to 2 years for the next book to come out, and it's starting to feel a little daunting to me, the amount of fantasy series that I'm in the middle of. So that's what's kept me from actually starting most of these. As you can see, most of the books on my list are fantasy series. But that's what's been keeping me from them, because I'm like, I want to read Alchemize. I'm, you know, foaming at the mouth to read it. But I've also read like 7 fantasy books this year that are the first in their series. And it was just going to be another first for me to read. So it just becomes kind of a lot, but I know that the second book in Anathema is out now, so I will probably be more likely to read it in its second book than I would be to read one of these that doesn't have its next book out, if I'm being completely honest. But I think I'm just getting like a little overwhelmed with the waiting and the amount of books that I've read, and I'm just like, I just want to read them. This one is a gothic fantasy, and it is about a shunned woman who is forced to live beyond the mortal realm's forbidden boundary into a terrified world of cursed souls and grotesque creatures. Only the banished knows what lies beyond the woods. Do you know? Like, that might be the first one I read, because I'm like genuinely geeking out right now. Like, the visuals alone. If you have not read Kira Lake, I highly recommend reading Nocticadia. It is a standalone gothic fantasy book, gothic horror-esque book. Not really horror, but like, it does have some scare elements in it. It is such a good standalone, and oh my god, it's so good with the imagery. So good with the imagery. I really enjoyed it. This one is also a touch of horror, just like that one was, a touch of horror. I'm genuinely so excited. I don't know if any of you know who Shaylin's Library is. I watch her on TikTok, but I have a feeling this is genuinely going to be me. She said, why was nobody yelling at me to read this? Y'all are gonna be so sick of me. This book was fantastic. So if you watch her, I feel like we have a lot of the same taste. The last book on my list, it is actually a mystery, and it's We Used to Live Here. I have been wanting to read this for a while. I have just not been in the mood. I honestly may do this as an audiobook, just because to me, like mysteries, thrillers, they are better as audiobooks, and every time that I happen to listen to one as an audiobook, as opposed to like reading it, I'm so much more immersed and a little more frightened, if you will. It says, as a young queer couple who flip houses, Charlie and Evie can't believe the killer deal that they've just gotten on an old house. As they're working in the house one day, there's a knock on the door. A man stands there with his family, claiming to have lived there years before and asking if it would be okay to show his kids around. And basically the whole novel is just them being like, oh yeah, sure, come in. And then it's like, they're like, are you gonna leave? Like, you know what I mean? And I have a feeling that it's gonna get crazy. So obviously the being in me that wants to know what the hell's going on, I have to read it. Like, just, if you have a good description like that, immediately count me in. Put me down. I want a copy of the book. But yeah, that is my 10 before the end. Let me know yours. Let me know what you want me to read first. If you have an opinion on it, whatever. whatever you want to put down below. But yeah, hopefully you're enjoying Bookmas. I sure am. That's literally it. I feel like I've been so far away this whole time, so hello. Goodbye now.